An Ingoma Organizer, The Social Biography of Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika by Sidney Long. Object Origins. With many different uses for Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika, or God Bless Africa, there is a long timeline to follow of its origins. From the Second Anglo-Boer War in South Africa to its actual creation with a Methodist mission school teacher, to the liberation song or prayer for the anti-apartheid groups, to the additions to the songs that created more of an inclusive South Africa, to the integration of the song as South Africa's national anthem, to finally its metamorphosis within the recent years with South African youth. This timeline can show a long duration of how the song has molded to different niches within South Africa and Africa as a whole. The Second Anglo-Boer War included the conflicts of Imperial British rule and the two Boer republics, which included the Orange Free State and the South African Republic, or more commonly known as Transvaal. These conflicting ideals within this war created a unity for Africa as well as understanding of colonialism and imperialism. Thus, the celebration of the first Sangha man becoming a religious clergyman in the Methodist Church, through the creation of the Xhosa song mixed with European religious overtures, opened the gates of the country into liberation music with a combination of the Enoch Tonga was a Methodist mission school teacher. They usually made somber songs for the church. But once he witnessed the suffering of African people and communities in Johannesburg, he was moved to create a song to strengthen the morale of the African people during the Second Anglo-Boer War. He originally wrote this in Xhosa, which was commonly used by black elites at the time, to create a song within the church for an ordination of a Shanghai Methodist minister named Reverend N. Beleni. During this war, it was uncommon for black ministers to be put into place. Although there are many connections to this song now, the creator Enoch did not intentionally create the meaning that is used today. Copeland says in his article, Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika and the Liberation of the Spirit of South Africa, Enoch imbued a message of unity and exhortation to act morally and spiritually on behalf of the entire African continent. Nationality and spirituality was an important concept used within the creation of this song, and was used at the time to create unity during the Anglo-Boer War or the South African War. Life story. As early as 1912, the African National Congress's leaders adopted the song as a closing anthem for their meetings to knit together a feeling of cohesiveness for the country against oppression and apartheid. By 1923, one of the founders of the ANC, Solom Plaatje, was the first person and group to have the then hymn recorded. 2 years later, after Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika was recorded, the ANC officially adopted the song as their anthem. With that adoption, exiled activists for the ANC more commonly used this song to endorse the ideals of the political opposition to apartheid in different countries. The Conference of Independent African States in Accra in 1958 was the first instance of which the independent nations of Africa had conjoined to explore communication about problems that all African nations are connected with. South Africa was the only independent nation of Africa that declined to attend the conference. This is attributed to the conference's decision to not invite the colonial powers to be present, therefore inferring a non-European and anti-colonialist platform. Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika was a song performed at this conference, creating an important statement of unity for African nations against oppression. In 1980 came the separation of Zimbabwe into an independent African country. With this independence came the choosing of a national anthem. The choice was made to sing God Bless Africa in Shona language, which translates to Ashia Komborera Africa. Many African countries followed suit, including Zambia, South Africa, Namibia, Tanzania. Although this common national anthem had occurred, Zimbabwe and Namibia currently hold a different national anthem. As a proclamation issued by the state president, Nelson Mandela in 1994, Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika and D-Stem, the Call of Africa, were enacted to be the two national anthems of South Africa. 2 years later, the two separate national anthems became one to encompass a more unified national anthem. Within a post-apartheid political climate, Many people saw the unification of the two separate national anthems as ironic and too easily combined, still holding the racial separation between the whites and blacks of South Africa. Many analysis of the songs shed light on the tonal key change between the third and the fourth verse, where the language changed from traditional Afrikaans to English, as an ironic addition to the union of languages within a song of reconciliation. Although this negative aspect of the song was recognized by many, the song still holds most important the union of the white South Africa and the black South Africa after apartheid had been extinguished. Each rendition of a song is connected to the community or context in which it is performed, imbuing the piece with a distinctive, historical, emergent, social, and political meaning. This quote was taken from a paper written about the many connections Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika has to South Africa, and even the continent of Africa as a whole. In 1900, the South African Native National Congress, or now commonly known as the African National Congress, or the ANC, initiated the use of the song with the Orange Institute Choir, under one of the founding members of the ANC, John Langabele Dube. This created precedents for the song to be commonly used within this institution, which led to the first recording of the song by Solomon Plaatje. Once Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika was launched as the ANC's anthem, it allowed for many different establishments to feel more comfortable to use this more often and to have a sense of unapologetic outward pride for their country. Now more commonly used, there was a surge in press publications, casting a wider net to gain recognition with the song and the song's agency. Some publications included the Lovedale Press, published in pamphlet form, Ingoma Yamakulu Asirab, which was a Presbyterian Xhosa hymn book, with staff transcribed notations within Nkosi, Unteleli wa Bantu, which was a Bantu newspaper, and in many schools within Xhosa poetry books. Next would be the Xhosa national poet, or Samuel E.K. Makai, adding additional stanzas to Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika. He was said to create a cross-ethnic black appeal through his poetry, which helped create a similar attraction within the new stanzas within Nkosi. Makai had an extensive background in Xhosa law, customs, and ties to the Presbyterian Church through his father. These connections created a cohesive relationship to Nkosi's verses, and how the public interpreted the new ones from Makai himself. His agency through his father created an agency within the public to see this piece of music as an ultimate unifier of the song and the Black liberation / anti-apartheid movement. During apartheid, many Ngomas were created to give hope to the South African people, many of which being used as prayer songs such as Nkosi, or even as militant battle songs and dances. Among these songs, many individuals see the creation of these liberation anthems as created by the struggle. Many of these songs were not allowed to sing on the streets, or those individuals were to be arrested. Nonetheless, this forward militant motion of the anti-apartheid movement created songs that reflected a more radical situation happening in South Africa at the time. One such song/dance that was created was the Toy Toy. The Toy Toy was used to instill fear into the enemy when marching towards them. While instilling fear within the enemy, the Toy Toy also instilled hope within the people gathering for the resistance. Another aspect of Ingoma during apartheid would be the use of it in situations that would encourage faith in the cause, such as during funerals. A woman involved in the MK, which is the militant portion of the ANC, explained MK funerals by saying, "If you mourn someone's death for too long, then it demoralizes your spirit. So instead of crying, we sing." Post-Apartheid Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika was used in many of the same arenas, such as choral music, political campaigns, and church functions. Although there emerged some new interpretations and restylings of the song, it was met with harsh responses. For example, the group Boom Shaka created a modified version of Nkosi to fit what their views of democracy in a post-apartheid world felt for the South African youth. Some reactions were that Nkosi is no dancing matter and should be met with respect. Some other individuals did not appreciate the fact that Boom Shaka's version of Nkosi was different from the original religious and nationalistic version they knew and loved. Yet the positive responses came from a different place and described the Boom Shaka's version as reimagining the future of South African youth. This new version was more similar to house music, which created a large connection to different audiences, allowing for a creative response to the changing of times. Overall, the process of change for Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika and its roles in liberation prayer song has changed and has allowed for pride as well as a mobilization of strength for South African Black communities looking for equality.